have a brighter future. I now recognize the gentleman from Massachusetts, the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, welcome, as always. The chairman made the point that this is the best committee in Congress. That's likely to be one of the few things we agree upon this morning, as all know. And you hold, as I pointed out in the past, one of the most important jobs in the world as a successor to Alexander Hamilton. We hope that there'll be some explanations this morning about the failures of many of the economic promises that were made by the Trump administration. 70% of the American people disagree with the economic direction that the country has taken. Last time you visited with us, Americans were being socked with price hikes because of the tariffs, where you and I met in front of the Supreme Court that day when the Supreme Court took and heard the oral arguments because of the big, ugly bill. We fought on our side every step of the way, knowing and predicting what was to come. Higher costs, millions kicked off of health care, children going hungry, all in service to the wealthiest amongst us. Despite this, a rosy picture was painted about the Trump economy and what it might deliver. It's safe to say that almost on every front, those predictions from the administration have been wrong. Workers and families are being forced to stretch their dollars further every day, and the pain so clearly stems from many of these projects, including what was supposed to be a cessation of endless wars. We've watched the price hikes that are coming because of this tariff regime, and during testimony last year, you suggested that the Trump policies would lift the working and middle class and reinvigorate American manufacturing. It was stated that take-home pay and wages would increase. You relied upon consumer confidence data to tout the strength of the economy. You pointed out that inflation was improving and that costs, including food, energy, and shelter, would be coming down. And now we have a chance to reflect upon what actually happened, including the slow walking of the tariff refunds that are due. Families are forced to shell out $1,700 more last year to cover many of the costs that were estimated to be rosy here not that long ago. Between the tariffs, the Iran war, prices are rising faster than they have in years. Last month, the inflation rate ate up paychecks. Appreciated the chairman's position on pointing out that there has been a routine of 3% increases, but when you're paying more for everything else, that quickly goes away. The price of a tank of gasoline in many places has gone up by almost 50%. That's a staggering amount. And despite the bullish assessment in January that economic growth would hit 5.4% in the fourth quarter, that growth came in at approximately 0.5%, not even a full percentage point. That's not spin, those are facts. The administration continues to argue that down is up and to convince people that their pain should be subjugated to patriotic causes. Whether celebrating higher credit card delinquencies on households, they're spending more every day because of the economic policies of the administration. As if the $1,700 to cover the tariffs wasn't enough, estimates are now showing that the war in Iran has already cost households another $750. And while an extra $200 in gas costs might not be a lot for some folks in the administration, it sure is for a lot of working families. I'm sure we're going to hear that there are many attempts to save the economy by touting the refunds. Those refunds were eaten up almost overnight because of increases in gasoline prices. Tax refunds fell short of the promises by 65% and have been completely wiped out, as I noted, by price hikes. The president's attention remains everywhere but what's most important. As he said, he's not thinking about people's financial situations. He tends to be focused on more vanity projects, including a ballroom and an arch, and painting the reflecting pool. We are now ready for a cage fight on the South Lawn and perhaps a $250 bill with his photograph on it. We look at what has happened recently with the slush fund that was created, and our Republican colleagues continue to go wobbly on their defense, perhaps not understanding how this is playing with the American people. I know the administration has been busy trying this week to explain all of it, telling members of Congress that the slush fund is dead, apparently not consistent with what the president offered but 24 hours ago. Let's be real. The $250 bill maybe might be needed because of the price hikes that are coming to the American people. Americans have made this very clear. 77% say the policies have increased the cost of living, and more than half say it's worse than they can previously remember. Consumer sentiment is currently at a record low. The savings rate for American has dropped to 2.6%, cut in half in just a year. When we look at this economy, we see failure upon failure. The policies that have been proposed have really not worked for average Americans. Families are getting crushed, and we would suggest today that a new course of action needs to be taken. Republicans have made it clear that they don't want to put a stop to the chaos, but Democrats are unwavering in our fight for American families to lower cost and to end the harm that is being done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ranking Member. Today's sole witness is United States Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. The committee has received your written testimony, and it will be part of the formal hearing record. Secretary Bessent, you have 5 minutes to deliver your remarks.